Maushold, and by extension its pre-evolution Tandemaus, are some of the weirdest new Pokémon from the Paldea region. Let's take a look into why these Pokémon are so unique from pretty much all other Pokémon, and what that might mean about their very existence. So what's so weird about them?
Who are you people?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of mice here, and they all count as one Pokémon. It's not only weird because it's the first time that we've seen this in a mammalian Pokémon, as the other group Pokémon all have logical reasoning for their multiplicity, being either a bunch of metallic objects that are fused together or magnetically attracted, or being a genetic mutation where multiple heads occupy the same body. And speaking of which, that's also weird, right? Not only are all the mice that comprise these Pokémon detached physically from one another, not sharing the same body, but they all act semi-independently, able to move, emote, and operate independently even if they choose to remain in close proximity. So they're ostensibly independent beings. The closest comparison that we have as Pokémon really is Dugtrio, but even that comparison is tenuous. Even then, things get weirder. When you evolve Tandemaus into Maushold at level 25, you kinda don't. What I mean by that is that the evolution message simply does not play. You enter your party menu and boom, there it is. 2 additional mice that seem to be the threshold to qualify as a brand new Pokémon, essentially an evolution. But why does it happen this way? What makes Maushold so special that it forgoes the evolutionary process that essentially all Pokémon go through, meaning visibly evolving? Newborn Tandemaus can come from eggs, so clearly there is some part of these Pokémon that undergoes the monotreme-like birth process that all Pokémon do. But its alternative evolution method might indicate that they diverge from all other Pokémon during their life cycle. So maybe they are more than just regular mice. Something very different from an ordinary rodent Pokémon in my opinion. The first hint towards this theory comes from their inspirations, which according to Bulbapedia might be Sylvanian dolls, these kinds of Japanese felt animal figurines that bear similar appearances. You can kinda see it on these Pokémon, which have similar vague pant and shirt-like patterns, as well as stitches on the ears, which might indicate an appearance similar to a stuffed doll or animal. Does this mean that these Pokémon are actually artificial beings, dolls, in a similar vein to Banette or Mimikyu? Perhaps, but typically Pokémon like that would be assigned the ghost typing, to indicate that they are in fact a spirit inhabiting an artificial material like that. No, with Maushold and Tandemaus, it kinda seems like the essence of these Pokémon and their physical bodies are one and the same. After all, these Pokémon are normal type. The normal type, as I've often said in other videos, is often a placeholder for Pokémon that should be typeless or are extremely unconventional in some way and don't really fit any other type. So what other Pokémon do we know that have unconventional genetics and bear the normal type? Well, Ditto. This Pokémon is meant to be some kind of amoeba with unstable genetics, the incredible ability to morph its appearance to look like any other Pokémon. It's often theorized that Ditto is a failed lab experiment, perhaps a man-made creation that got its morphing abilities from such tampering. And of course, Ditto references the genetic concept of the undifferentiated cell, a cell in the body that can change into any other type of cell by sampling it. So what if we apply the same logic to Maushold and Tandemaus? These Pokémon are normal types, and seem to have the ability to augment themselves physically with much more ease than regular Pokémon evolution. Not by transforming into other Pokémon, but by multiplying itself, from 2 to 4. If anything, this clearly references the genetic idea of mitosis, part of the cell cycle where cells divide into genetically identical copies of one another. This works perfectly if you think about it. Perhaps the incredibly simplistic appearance of these Pokémon isn't to reference some doll, but instead is the assumed appearance of a simple cellular creature attempting to blend in with other Pokémon. Just like Ditto has a pretty ambiguous form in its natural state. Perhaps while Ditto's specialty is mimicry and adaptation, Tandemaus and Maushold's is division and multiplication. They are, after all, taking on the form of mice, of lab rats even. I don't think that's a coincidence, quite the opposite. Perhaps they're poorly attempting to mimic the natural Pokémon that they were created to imitate, or for the purpose of studying in a lab environment. They are artificial lab rats. Maybe somewhere there is a naturally evolved mouse Pokemon, and Maushold is simply a collection of cells now roaming the wild, taking on the form of the one Pokemon that they are familiar with from their former lab environment. Hence their appearance and mouse-like behaviors in the wilds of Paldea, living carefree lives and doing what they do best, creating more copies of themselves. This is why a collection of 4 independently operating beings is classified as one Pokemon, because they're all genetically identical. They're all from the same original cell that still controls all the bodies. One original consciousness spreading itself over 2, 4, as many bodies as it might please. Ironically, an artificial living embodiment of one of the most natural and crucial parts of the organic cycle. So that's my theory on Tandemaus and Maushold, and a fairly logical way of potentially understanding these seriously illogical Pokemon. What do you think? Let me know your idea on Maushold down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more content.